You're listening to the Ridge Journal Podcast with Josh Lloyd.
All right, everybody, welcome to the show. This is the exit interview for head coach Matt Wilson for the 2025 season with the Newton-Conover Red Devils. It's been a pretty big year. Can you, in a brief way, break down how the season went and what you think is coming next season?
Well, Josh, it was a big year for us. I think the biggest thing that we kind of put our hat on and got to be grateful for is this senior class. We've been here. I think someone sent me a text message not too long ago. Monday of this past week marked the exactly 2-year anniversary, I guess you would say, that our new staff got here at Newton-Conover High School. So we've been here exactly 2 years Monday, and the senior class has been amazing. They kind of jumped all in the water, and we asked them to demolish the culture that they were a part of for 3 years and build it back up to what it used to be back, when we were here in the early 2000s, what Coach Patrick built and what Coach Basil kind of sustained. So we asked them to do that and lead the underclassmen in that doing. So the first year we were here, we kind of went through some growing pains. We had some close battles with some really, really good teams. It didn't end up going the way we wanted it to. But this year, they kept buying in, and through their leadership, we ended up having a successful season in regards to, the scoreboard. What the community sees is just the scoreboard. But behind the scenes, Josh, there's a lot of even bigger victories that are going on here at Newton-Conover High School. With our football program, but with also our entire athletic program. And I think that is just a testament to the faith that they had in our coaching staff in regards to building the culture back up to where this school deserves.
Well, and I just need to say, you say it's been 2 years since we brought this new staff in, but boy, did I see a lot of familiar faces.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that someone at the top office said, hey, you know what, the way they were doing it back in Basil's era is the way we need to try to rebuild our program. And the number one hire, in my opinion, was bringing you in, because not only are you bringing your father's skill set and passion back into the program, but you're also bringing back a vast, multi-generational set of football knowledge that I think may or may not have been here during that time period between when Nick Basil left and when you came, or when you arrived, so to speak.
We just, Josh, you hit the nail on the head right there. We just had our football ceremony this past Monday, and we honored this coaching staff that we've put together, and I promised our parents, I promised our fans, I promised our players that night that the most important job as a head football coach is put together the best coaching staff for our young men. We've been blessed to have 11 so far, 12, and if I have to get 4 more, 5 more, we'll find a way to pay them just to bring that wide range of skill sets. Both, your mature, older coaches. I'm an old coach now, but you also need the youthful coaches. And so it's a family. And so as the head coach, putting together that puzzle and putting together quality men for these young men is the most important job a head coach can do. So to answer your question, yes, we brought back some old faces. They bleed Newton-Conover. We brought back some young faces that graduated from here that bleed Newton-Conover. And we brought back some people that just brought in some people that aren't from here, but are, again, that fit the number one quality, are you a good man for our kids? So we were happy. We didn't have any turnover from year 1 to year 2, and I don't see any turnover happening. I see additions being made. So we're excited about our coaching staff. They're our family.
We're entering into a phase in football at the high school level where I don't think it's even okay anymore to not pay your coaches.
Yeah.
This is a big topic that's on the table. It seems like Newton-Conover has kind of caught wind of that, and they know that if they're going to have a successful program, and that program is going to bring in revenue for their school, they're going to have to find a way to pony up to bring coaches to the team.
Yeah.
What have you seen trending, at least inside Newton-Conover City Schools, that may or may not be trending in Lincoln County or even in other counties?
Well, Newton-Conover City Schools and our school board and our superintendent have done a good job of not just being comparable, but being, a step ahead as far as coaching supplements, as far as 11-month, 12-month, paying the head coach or paying the head coaches of other sports. I think a few years back before we got here, they kind of stepped back and saw what the surrounding areas were doing and say, all right, we need to be them plus some.
Yeah.
And so they've done a good job of providing us the resources to pay a certain amount of assistant coaches. We're allotted a certain amount of assistant coaches, and then we find ways, if it's just fundraising or getting creative with, our funds, to make sure that these guys are taken care of, because, Josh, we talked about it, our season started July 30th on the calendar and didn't end until November 20th. That doesn't count spring football, which is 10 days. It doesn't count summer workouts, which is 24 workouts. So you're looking at, 3/4 of the year, we're asking a man to take a step aside from their families, step aside from being a dad, step aside from being a husband, and be a coach. And so that's a lot of time. Do we pay them enough? No, we do not pay them enough, even though we do our best too. But we don't do it for the money, you know that. But Newton-Conover City Schools have done a fantastic job of not just being comparable, but trying to stay one step ahead of people around here.
Well, you see that issue break down the fabric of our culture. Like when the money just can't be made, but these people are still sacrificing all of their time. Divorces happen. Kids are abandoned. You know about it.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I know about, my dad not being at home.
Yeah.
And so it seems like it's nice. It's really nice to see at least something coming through to transition into, because you don't want to set it up so that football's only until the end of October. No, you want a team that can go into December in
Correct.
football, and people run out of gas when their money's dried up.
Correct.
They just can't continue.
Yep.
And so it's nice to see Newton kind of putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak. But then also you can see what they've done with the field and with what's going on over here behind us at the gym.
Yep.
And so
every time I get an opportunity, Josh, to brag about what we're trying to do here at Newton-Conover, I do. So you look down there, and it's one of the nicest fields in our conference, if not the nicest. Over your shoulder right now is going to be a gorgeous, brand new high school. It's state-of-the-art, new gym, new classrooms. We have the best weight room in Western North Carolina, and I'll stand by that. So it is a great time to be a student here. It's a great time to be a teacher here. It's a great time to be a coach here. And not just, we're here every day. But when you're an alumni and you come back, and it's almost every day, Josh, that I see, hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm the class of '84. I'm so-and-so, I graduated in 1992. Calling me and say, hey, can I come see the new weight room? Can I walk on the football field? And nothing brings me more joy to see that pride that we talk about all the time. And it takes nice things, but it also is a culture that we talk about. And nice things kind of just put a cherry on top. But when you have buy-in from so many different people, it's hard not to kind of gravitate back to the pride that this place still has. So I could sit here and brag about it all throughout this whole interview, but I know you got more questions.
You might, anyways.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and get to my questions.
Yeah.
That was a good start. Reflecting on the turnaround, and this was monumental in my opinion. And I know that you can't take all the credit yourself, and you never would. But man, what a quick way! You went from 2-9, correct?
2-8. Yep.
2-8.
Yeah.
No playoff berth. To 9-3, a third round appearance. You beat Maiden in week 10, and had you remained healthy, you would have beat them again in round 3, I believe. And also, looking at how the Maiden versus High Brighton game went, you probably would have beat High Brighton too. Looking back at where the team was last season and where you've brought them this year, What do you think were the key changes that helped drive such a quick turnaround, Matt?
It wasn't, Josh, and I think I hit it on the first question. It wasn't a quick turnaround.
Not for you, but for people out here, it was quick.
Yeah.
People in the stands.
Yeah, and they see, we talked about it, they see the scoreboard right behind you, and they see the outcome right here on the field, and they see touchdowns, and they see our defense making plays, and they see all that. And that's what, on the surface, that they're proud of. But the turnaround was not quick. The turnaround has taken us 2 years, and it starts with when that first period bell rings. They got 5 minutes to be ready to roll. And I think it comes back to our standards and our cultures of accountability. It comes back down to discipline. Winning football games on Friday night, especially in the conference we're in, it's not easy, and it's not tough, and you have to earn things. It comes back down to, are they willing to sacrifice things that they would rather be doing as a teenager than things that they know that I've got to do this, we've got to do this if you want to see outcomes on Thursday and Friday nights. And so they were willing to do that. Why they were willing to do that, I think it starts with relationships. I think it starts with layering up those relationships in regards to coaches and players having mutual respect for one another, mutual trust, mutual caring more about them as a person than what jersey number they wear. And our coaching staff does a good job of getting to know our kids outside of these white lines on this football field. That's something that Coach Don Patrick taught me. That's something that Nick Basil taught me. That's something Coach Carter taught me, that if they know that you care about them, genuinely care about them, not just putting on a show, it's amazing what they'll do for you on a Friday night. And I guess that we've had good players, but none of our players are just like extremely amazing. We got some talented players, but we don't have any five-star players on that football field. We have a bunch of good football players that were willing to play selfless for one another. And when you do that and we love each other, good things happen, man. And so we talked about it on Monday at our banquet. Success, we've had it. And now the expectation of success is there. Next year, the expectation is to be successful. So everything that we've done for the last 2 years is not going to be good enough to continue. It's going to have to be kicked up a notch. The commitment's going to have to be kicked up a notch. The discipline has to be kicked up a notch. The motivation has got to be kicked up a notch. So everything they thought they have been doing for the last 2 years, it's still there, but it just has to be kicked up a few notches, because if you're not growing, you're staying the same. So we're going to continue to try to grow and give this community something to be proud of.
There was a turning point in the season that I think I just got lucky and I got to witness. It was one of the moments when you told me to turn the camera off. You said, "Do not record me." And you had a nice private talk with the team after wind sprinting them for what felt like a half hour. And this was that point in the school year where all the germs had been cross pollinated, and a lot of the kids on your team weren't feeling great, and you could see that some of them were sticking it out even though they were sick. They were like on the practice field, but they really weren't. They were loafing through the drills, and you threw your clipboard. And you told me to turn it off, and then you got everybody into a huddle after the practice, and you even said, if you didn't run wind sprints, don't even come over here in this huddle. And you created a separation between the hard workers and the ones who you knew just weren't putting in the effort. And I think that created a yearning in the guys who weren't efforting or creating the effort in themselves to want to be a part of the team, because they knew that it was slipping from them. And I saw at that point, this was right before Hickory, and so you still went and got beat by Hickory and I believe even East Lincoln, but those were tough games. And that early part of the season was where you really got to see who was made of what. And so after those 2 games came and went, you got into the good part of the season where you could really refine your skills. But what do you think you said to them in that practice that turned them? Because many of them all of a sudden really stepped up, and you started seeing them also stepping up with each other and bonding in that moment.
Well, Josh, I think we had 82 players this year.
It's a lot of people.
82 players, JV and varsity. And
it's a good squad, man.
Yep, if you rank the players from 1 to 82, from 1 being the best player, 82 being the last player that comes off the bench, 1 to 82. It takes 1 through 82, JV and varsity, to be what a team needs to be in regards to meeting their full potential. If you split the varsity, if it's, 41 and 41, let's focus on the varsity right now. If 1 through 41 are not giving their best every day, you're never going to meet your full potential, because number 39 could be the scout team corner.
Yeah.
And if he's not giving his best effort,
you talking about me?
I know.
Scout team corner right here.
I didn't know what you played,
but
and that day, Josh, I know exactly what day you're talking about, and I'm glad you listened to my advice or my direction
to turn it off.
Turn it off, because it probably was not good.
It was good.
Okay, well, I hope it wasn't too bad, but they needed to hear that 1 through 82 we're not all in. We were, some of them were pulling the rope, some of them were kind of just watching us pull the rope, and 1 through 82.
You could see early in the season that some of the stamina wasn't where it needed.
Yeah.
And I think at that moment, and I wasn't here for every practice, but I get the impression that y'all were running a lot for about 3 weeks.
Oh yeah.
In weeks 3 and 4.
100%. And then it's hard to convince, going back to the analogy I was using, it's hard to convince number 37 on the varsity. Like, I'm only going to play kickoff team. Mm-hmm. I don't need to be running as much or as hard as the starters do, but you're a part of a team. And that's the beauty of this game. It takes 1 play, 2 plays, and number 37 ends up being the number 4 man.
Well, I was about to say that.
And so you never know. And so to kind of try to convince a kid that your value to this team is way more than you realize. And that's our job as coaches, to create value in every kid on our team and to make them feel as important as number 1. 82 is just as important as number 1. And so the accountability piece that we talk about every single day, 1 through 82, is held to the same exact standard, the exact same accountability. So I don't know exactly what kids I really got mad at that day, but I'm assuming it could have been some starters, but I don't really see starters and I don't see backups. I see...
It wasn't one player. The energy just was low.
Yeah.
And it was quiet.
Yeah.
And I think that really got under your skin.
Oh, it did. And
there wasn't a lot of rivalry between defense and offense.
Yep. And I tell the kids all the time, the hardest part about my job, Josh, and I tell the kids this all the time, the hardest part and probably a lot of head coaches can agree to this. As a head football coach, Josh, I'm not allowed to have a bad day ever. I'm not allowed to have a bad day.
You're also not allowed to skip a day.
I'm not allowed to skip a day.
You can't tell people you're sick.
I'm not allowed to have a bad day. And so I tell them, when I have a bad day, then I expect everybody to have a bad day. But I don't have a bad day. And that's the hardest part about the job. So some days, I don't feel like being out of practice. I'd rather be at home and, watching Despicable Me with my little girl.
Thought you were going to say WWE.
No, not yet. My wife probably won't. She'll probably allow that at maybe 5 years old. Right now it's Despicable Me and all those other. But I'd rather be home doing that some days. But they don't know that, because I can't let them know that. And it's those tough days that we've got to just keep on fighting through and realizing there's something it's worth it at the end. Somehow, some way, it'll be worth it.
Cultural shifts. How did you go about changing the team culture? How did you and your coaches, I should say, were there specific values or routines you implemented that you think made the biggest difference?
Culture is, one of those cliche statements that everybody talks about.
Yeah.
It's, culture is one of those flash sight words that, all programs have to have. And and culture is embedded in our program. Obviously, our standards are embedded in our program. But I think the most important part of a culture is it being organic and it being not forced, but just natural in regards to the genuine energy you put behind it. And it comes back down to the relationships of not just our football players. Me personally, and our coaching staff that are in the building, I think we do a good job of not just trying to be organic and genuine to our football players, but genuine in regards to building relationships with kids that aren't just football players. Mm-hmm. I have 50 kids in my first period. I have 60 kids in my second period. The majority of them are football players. Like I'd say 50 of them out of that almost 100 kids are football players, maybe 60. And I think it's just as important for our football guys to see that our care and our work ethic that we try to implement into our football guys, it's the same exact thing for our tennis players, our women's basketball players, and not just those athletes, but the kids that are in there just trying to escape from, mental health. They enjoy working out and they enjoy the class because it lets them escape mentally. And so I think the most important part of a culture, is being genuine and really having empathy, true empathy for the kid. And then if they, I said it earlier, if they truly know that you care about them, respect them, then you can start, all right, believe me when I tell you this, that it is important to be accountable, to be held accountable in life. And if they truly know that I care about them, it is important to be disciplined every single day in everything you do. And if they truly know that you care about them, effort, perfect effort in everything you do. And so when you start talking about our standards and our cultures and our pillars of what makes Newton-Conover football, if they do not know or they truly do not believe that you care about them more than just a football player, then it's going to be hard to get inside of a teenager's mindset and get inside their soul and understand that he really does care about me more than just a football player. I need to listen to him when it comes to being held accountable, listen to him when it comes to being disciplined. And so culturally, it has to be organic, it has to be genuine, and something that you can't fake, and it has to be carried out every single day.
Well, I feel like people, especially kids, can smell when you're authentic or not.
Correct. They can read right through you.
Yeah, and when they do read through you, they hate you.
Yes.
They write you off immediately.
Yeah.
There's no coming back from it.
No, and they don't. And kids remember. Kids remember.
And they're kind of salty too.
Yeah.
They don't have the wherewithal to forgive yet.
Yeah, and do they try my patience? Of course, they try my patience. They're kids, and we get to have them from 8 to 3, and if it's football season, we get to have them from 8 to 6. Mm-hmm. And so during that window, during that small window, they have to know that you care about them. And then hopefully whatever lessons that they're learning with you from 8 to 3 or 8 to 6, they continue to hear those same exact lessons at home. And so hopefully it kind of just trickles on.
That sort of brought me, without trying, to Fellowship for Christian Athletes.
Yeah.
And you may have them a little bit longer if they're actually staying for that too.
Correct.
How has FCA really helped bring the culture we're speaking about back to what it was under Basil's leadership?
That was something that I remember growing up. I attended FCA in the morning time when we had FCA in the mornings, then we had it at football practice afterwards. Greg Hardy is the leader of our FCA program, and he was one of my top priorities when it comes to kind of putting together a coaching staff, not just because of his beliefs, not because he's such a great football coach, not just because he's such a great man, but because he's all of them put into one. And so we do FCA here as an entire school Wednesday. Ironically, it's Wednesday today. And I wanted to say there was probably between 100 and 120 people there at today's FCA. And that's not just football players. That is, anybody who really wants to come in there and hear the Word of God. And then every Tuesday during football practice, after practice, we meet as a FCA huddle. And what that is, we go from anywhere just 10 to 15 minutes, prayer requests, praises, good things that are going in your life, have some scripture, and we kind of relate it to build that bridge from football to life. And it gives those kids the opportunity to not be judged, to feel like they're in a safe place, to where if they're going through something in their life, this is exactly where I can get something off my chest, find advice, find peace. And that has been one thing that we have done here that has been something, as long as I'm here, we'll continue to do, because you see so much. It's a team bonding thing, but it also, Josh, it is difficult, way more difficult than I graduated from here in 2004. And it was difficult back then to be a teenager. But it is extremely difficult right now to be a teenager in 2025, just with, your social media, your all the influences that are out there. Yeah. And it's easy to morally kind of get off for your moral compass to lean one way or the other, that, you should know better, you've been raised better. And for that 15 to 20 minutes on Tuesday, it gives them the opportunity to kind of understand where your feet are, and maybe kind of get back to where where you should be. And if you feel like you failed with your walk with Christ, it's an opportunity for repentance, and know that it's a safe place to be.
Well, one thing that I've had the blessings of is being able to witness your father's speeches before games. Yeah. Over the last 2 decades and 3 decades. And many times when I would show up at a practice, it felt like I was almost going to youth group, just the practice itself. And I had the chance to listen in on your speeches before the games, felt very much like that, where you're getting some gospel before the game, you're getting gospel after the game, you're getting it at practice. Yeah. And it's a chance for you to kind of like convene with your team, with your flock that way. Yeah. For me, I've been around this year. I haven't just been at Newton. Mm-hmm. I was floating around at Maiden some, and I was filming some at other schools up in the mountains. And FCA isn't at the other schools. This is chosen by Newton-Conover to have it here. And I don't think, it wasn't at any of the other schools. It was at North Lincoln when Nick was there, but I don't know if it's still there now. I'm not allowed over there anymore. Mm-hmm. But I wonder why it's not at all the schools. And why does Newton choose? I know why Newton chooses to keep it, but it's just very strange to me, because when I was coming through, like this the past couple of years, I thought it was everywhere, because I was just with Nick Basil's programs. I assumed FCA was at all the schools. Yeah. But it's not. It's just at the schools that choose it. Yeah. I thought it was like mandated almost as part of the platform. I can speak on behalf of us. The school I was at previous to here, we had the same exact thing that we did. But did you install it there? And was this West Iredale?
Yes, correct. And here's how it goes, and here's how my experience with it is, Josh. Just like anything, it starts with leadership at the top.
Yeah.
My FCA representative at West Iredell was Buck Gatton. Buck Gatton was a great man. I learned so much from Buck Gatton spiritually, so much from him as a coach. And then when we made the decision to come here, the leader for Newton-Conover City Schools is Mike Mackey. He's the FC representative here, and so the leadership was already here in place, and then underneath his leadership was Greg Hardy. He's a school representative. So it was just a natural fit for me to say, Mike Mackey, Greg Hardy, I have got to continue. It's gotta continue to pour into the football program.
But we grew up that way. There was always a team chaplain.
Correct. And
there never was not one. When I had our softball team, I appointed a team chaplain for our 6U softball team. Yeah. Because that's just what you do.
Yeah. And we have one here, Bernard Coulter, and sometimes Josh Kappa steps in. And so it's not a choice for me. It's a requirement.
Yeah.
But some coaches have the choice, and some coaches and admin have that choice. It was a requirement for me.
But it feels like that changes the culture all by itself.
It is a strong piece of it.
Yeah.
It is a strong piece of it. It's not the be-all, but I think it is a large piece of it, yes.
It's very important.
Correct.
And even if you don't have FCA at your school, just having that team chaplain who prays over the kids before and after the games is a huge piece of the puzzle.
Correct.
And I can't see it any other way. It doesn't make sense. It's like not having a videographer.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I got one of those too.
Yeah, I know. And your chaplain might be a bit more affordable, but
yes.
we'll stay away from that topic right now. I want to talk about player buy-in. And listen, at the beginning of our interview, you talked about everything I was going to ask you, so just bear with me here.
You're fine.
The player buy-in thing, never mind FCA and how they buy into the culture with faith, but I got to watch you, I wouldn't say attempt, you did install aspects of the triple option into your offense this year.
Yep.
And the one thing about the triple option is if the players don't buy in, it ain't going to work.
Oh, yeah.
I watched you have some success with the triple. I got to listen to you and your father talk about the triple, during the game, and there were a lot of looks, especially in your passing game, where I felt like y'all were able to see the flats easier. You had a lot of success passing in the flats, especially from week 6 to week 10. I thought, but for me, it's hard for me to explain. I saw you come under injury. And then aspects of the triple started to dissolve because of injury. It was hard to do it when Cam Ezard was no longer, starting. He was a fundamental piece of that puzzle, especially off the pitch or off of the run.
Yep.
What were you able to accomplish with the players and getting them to understand that offense in 1 year? Because a lot of times when these teams are successful running the triple, those kids have been running the triple since they were in midget ball.
Oh yeah. Well, I think the best word to describe buy-in that you're referring to is selfless.
Yeah. It's a complicated offense.
It's a very complicated offense, and it's not the form that we did, or
the pistol.
It's not near as complicated as the flex triple that Coach Basil does. It's not near as complicated as the flex offense that South Point is known for. It's just a sexier version, maybe. But the buy-in, or as far as you have to be selfless, and that started. I'm not shying away from it. It starts with your quarterback, obviously. And Camden was asked. Camden was a running back last year. He played some receiver. He was one of our best DBs the year previous to this past season. And we had a conversation with him in late April and May. And we asked him to make a very selfless decision. We asked him to play quarterback. And that meant not being the running back, not being a quarterback, not playing defense. That meant playing a position that he had never played for in his entire life, and go all in, and maybe put his personal objectives aside for the betterment of our program. And you're talking about a 17-year-old, 16-year-old kid, didn't hesitate.
Yeah.
He said, I got it. And then working with our coaching, or working with our offensive coaches. He ended up having all conference, all region, 1,200, 30-plus touchdown season. And not just that, but our offense. We had a great year offensively, and it was because of not just Camden, but a couple guys on our team that said Newton-Conover over me. And they were rewarded not just for the wins, but they were rewarded, if you go back and look at it, their success, their performance on Friday nights far exceeded their individual expectations for what they had for themselves, and far exceeded my expectations that I thought they could have, all because they put the team before themselves. So if you're going to run that offense, if you don't have that complete buy-in from everybody, and if you don't put the team before yourself, then it's going to be hard. So we'll adjust every year to fit our personnel, because you and I both know that we don't win games. Players score touchdowns, so we'll continue to tweak it and put our guys in the best position. This year it was a perfect fit for what we had.
You like to pass the ball a lot more than your dad.
Yes.
And I think that, but my dad liked to pass the ball a lot too. When it comes to the passing game, which y'all found great success with this year, I thought, especially from North Lincoln on, man, it was just really, and honestly, the two first games of the season, y'all had great numbers. What's it take to put together a really good air attack?
Well, I still believe in running the football. I'm old school when it comes to that. I believe in defense, running the football, and special teams. I still want to throw the ball when I want to, not when I need to. We do a good job of play action off of our run game. You know, I think if you've got to sustain the run game, to get the running game going, to set up a good passing game, especially for us. And that's what we did a good job of. We brought people in the box, and when people loaded up the box, we were able to take the top off. When people played, you know, everybody does the same thing. You count the box. If they're back deep, you run the ball. So I think it's really more or less kind of seeing what the defense wants to take away and counteract to that.
Well, but you would give them fits though, because they would be playing out back because they'd be afraid of the air.
Yeah.
But then Cam's feet.
Yeah.
You get him out spread like that. Cameron's got tons of holes to run.
Yeah.
So he'd come at the pass, and then we'd see him just decide to tuck it and run, and then we'd see a 35-yard gain.
Yeah, and that dual threat quarterbacks give defensive fits, because it's hard to account for the ability for the quarterback to run. People
were likening him to like a high school version of Michael Vick.
I don't know about all that.
They were talking about him like,
he was good, but I'm not going to he may end up watching this video one day. I'm not going to hype his head up that much.
Yeah. Well, he may end up playing in college. We'll see.
Yep. Somebody will give him a chance.
Sorry if I interrupted you there.
No, you're good.
Key games and moments. Which games? I'm gonna ask you first, and I'll tell you what games I think stuck out to me. Which games this season do you think were the turning points or defining moments for the team?
All right. Week one, being down 14, I think it was 21-7 against Alexander Central. I think teams in the past, being down 21-7 here at Newton-Conover, they probably would have tucked it in and been done. But again, that talks about one of our values that we have not mentioned yet in this interview. Adversity don't break us. It makes us who we are. And so that's something that you see in our locker room. Adversity does not break us. It makes us. And so if you ask one of our 82 players, what does adversity do to you? And if they've been drilled enough, they'll say it makes me. And so being down 21-7, coming back, and them understanding, I remember that moment in the halftime speech, and that moment when we started making the comeback there in the first half. We talked about a drill we do every Tuesday. It's a simple drill, but it's my favorite drill of the week. All you do is a 10-yard sprint. You touch each line. Everybody has to give their absolute best effort, and if you do not touch the line, the drill stops, and we started to think all over. And we talked about that moment was the line drill. You touch the line for 2 more quarters, we're going to win. So that moment was big for us because we got into moments like that throughout the season, and we kept on telling them, touch the line, don't break. Touch the line, don't break.
I mean, how many games did you win by 1 point?
Touch the line, don't break. And we talked about that. I think those words to our team from all of our touch the line, don't break. Touch the line, don't break. And they knew what we were talking about because we talk about it on Tuesday, and they hear that adversity word so much. That moment was big. Week 5 was big for us. And if you go back and look at the schedule, because you didn't play a game on week 5, that was our bye week.
That's right.
Bye week was really big for us. We're going into the bye week 2-2. Just got beat by East Lincoln and Hickory. And
there were a lot of questions about the team's success for the rest of the season at that time.
Correct. And I remember that Monday after the bye week was probably, if not, but one of the best practices we had all year long. And that was a choice. That was a choice. They just got beat by 2 quality opponents back-to-back weeks. Not just beat, but I think Hickory beat us 42-14, and East Lincoln beat us 49-20 or something like that. So it wasn't like close games. And they had a choice on Monday, and they chose Newton-Conover football. And they came to work that week, and we worked, and we had such a great week of focusing on us. Great week of focusing on us. And then the Bandies win the following week, week 6, was another moment of touch the line, don't break. And we found a way to win against a very, very good football team. And then a couple weeks later, touch the line, don't break moment against West Iredell, another quality opponent that they had. They had multiple times to say, let's just get on this bus and go home.
What happened in that game? Because a lot of the fans were like, that was the worst game. They were. I don't know if they were talking. I don't think they were talking about our play. I think they were talking about like the refs.
I don't really remember as far as like the refs or any of that. The one thing about that game that people didn't realize until as the season progressed, and I knew it. If anybody knew it in the surrounding areas, and on our team, it was me, because I knew all the talent we left West Iredell with. West Iredell. Nobody understood when we left West Iredell to come to Newton-Conover. I said, I had to reevaluate. It's like my family, like, oh, we're really leaving West Iredell.
Knowing what's coming
up. Knowing that the Cadillac, that we would be driving there because they have some, from top to bottom.
Just Iredell County in general.
Yeah, from top to bottom, Josh, West Iredell probably had the best athletes in our conference.
Yeah.
Best athletes in our conference. And people kind of just put that, I don't know, that
they
unfair.
Look the part.
Yeah, that unfair stereotype.
Strong kids.
Yeah, unfair stereotype of West Iredell. I knew how good they were going to be this year. I know how good they're going to be again next year because we were there. We coached them kids. We knew how talented they were. So it's nothing about our poor play that game, nothing about the officials, nothing about anything other than it was 2 quality football teams that needed 4 quarters to decide who was going to win it. And fortunately for us, we came out on top. Touch the line, don't break.
Yeah. Talk to me about holding the rope.
Yeah, that's something I got from Coach Carter. That goes back to, it takes all of them. It takes. And that game in particular, Josh, that game in particular, West Iredell game, we look out there in the 4th quarter, and we have 8 quarter kids. 8 quarter kids in the 4th quarter on the game-winning drive. Yeah. On the game-winning drive. 2 go up and ultimately win the game. And then they got the ball back, and I look out there, and I have freshmen on the field. On the field.
Did it make you nervous?
I'd lie and say I didn't. I wasn't nervous, but we wouldn't put kids out there that we didn't feel like were prepared to win the game. And then they ended up kicking an onside kick at the end, and I look out there and I got 2 freshmen on hand sting. That's trusting that you've held the rope for the first 8 weeks of the season. So that comes back to that 180 too.
Well, I mean, I couldn't help but notice just how young the team was.
Yeah, we're young.
Even your varsity team.
Yeah.
And so to see you guys with a 9-3 record, you know, I don't know how many seniors you're graduating, but you've got a lot of talent coming back. What do you think it's going to take to get these kids to gel again in 2026 and see their true potential? Because my first impression is when I showed up, I didn't know who was who.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, the red team's got to be the varsity team, the practice colors.
Yeah.
And your red team is your JV team, but your red team was the same size as your varsity team was. So I couldn't tell the difference. So I'm over there filming with your red team, and then I go, oh, y'all are JV. And so I got to go hustle over, get with the white squad, and that's the varsity team. Your JV team, I think did you lose 1 game?
I think 2, I think something like that. We had a good year.
Yeah. Ironically, and it's fun to see what teams in the conference are actually going to be coming up again.
Oh, yeah.
Freddie Ford's going to be tough.
Oh, yeah. Coach Ramsey
Hickory's
does a good
always
job.
going to be tough.
Yep.
But you know, we're seeing the sands are shifting in the counties around us, and you know, the big rivalry game in 2 years might be Freddie Ford versus Newton-Conover.
And I think I got asked this question about the conference. You know, has this conference prepared you for the playoffs? And my response to that, a gentleman was, don't know who exactly that was that asked me that question, Josh, but my response to them was, we've been playing playoff football since week 3.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so when we play our non-conference opponents week 1 and week 2, and then playoffs start week 3.
I mean, he had to ask that question early in the season because look at who was at the top of the.
Yeah, I think I counted, Josh, seven teams in our league were in round 2 or round 3.
Yeah, and you know, you've got Hickory and East Lincoln are in the top 5 in the 5A.
Yeah.
We've got Maiden and Newton-Conover in the top 10 in the 4A.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's show up and play football every week.
We talk about the Western Foothills Conference on our podcast specifically to talk about, like, if you're not playing anyone, you know, in my opinion, east of Asheville, you're not playing anyone at all. And I need to say Brevard is east of Asheville.
Correct.
We need to say that.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's tough to see, you know, these mountain teams come down and play anybody in our conference or anyone near our conference. Never mind Freedom, never mind High Brighton.
And it's just, I've said it all year long, it's just a great time to be a fan of high school football in this area.
It really is thriving, man.
Yeah, I'm from I guess you start a line from Cleveland County and drive up to Watauga County. I mean, it is.
Look at Watauga this year.
It's prime, man. It is a great time to be a fan of high school football. In our conference, it's a great time to be a fan of high school football in this area.
I can't get over the numbers we're seeing on Max Preps. I tripped over an opportunity to upload Newton-Conover's content to Max Preps this year. I didn't realize I could. And I just started putting little clips on Max Preps. And the view counts are like 60,000 in 3 days.
Is that good?
It's weird you're asking that because it's absurd. You go to Facebook, it's like 120 views.
Yeah.
But you put them on Max Preps, and it's like everyone's going to Max Preps to see the footage, to see what's happening with the teams.
That's good.
And so, I mean, we have a collective across all videos. I think we have nearly 1 million views, man.
That's good.
And that's,
I know that 1 million when you say 1 million.
That's high school football.
Yep.
Okay, that's nuts. These are college stats that we're seeing off of just people watching. And then you go and you look at what's Max Preps doing with the footage. They're advertising Sonic and Coca-Cola on top of it.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I'm not seeing any of that money.
Yeah.
Neither are you.
No.
But it's pretty crazy that the numbers are high enough that a Sonic will go, yeah, we'll pay for that.
Yeah.
And it's just high school football.
And it's a great time to be a part of it. And like I said, going back to your original question, it is a tough league. And it's going to be even tougher next year and probably even tougher because the quality of coaches are getting better. The quality of players, the quality of trainers, the quality of just preparation that goes into a football season is kind of, if you're not amping it up, you're falling behind.
I want to talk a little sports theory with you for a minute.
Okay.
Because we're seeing all of this money come into the college level now.
Yeah.
It's an absurd amount of money, and now we're seeing teams like Indiana and other schools just like pour millions of dollars into their players, and athletes are getting paid now. It's an insane time to play football at any level. But I fully believe that type of scenario is trickling down to high school, and within 10 years, we're going to see a lot of schools. And we're already, like Lake Norman did this. They're dumping billions of dollars into their facilities. You know, and you know that's only going to become a trend. We're going to see much more money coming down to the high school level. Where do you see football going at our level? But also, like, how's the athlete going to be affected over time?
Well, that's a difficult question for me to answer, Josh, just because I'm not going to say fortunately or unfortunately. But we have not seen it directly here at Newton-Conover City Schools as far as the NIL goes. But it's based on everything you're saying. I can't keep up with all the college football when I'm coaching football at the high school level. But, you know, you see it, you hear it. So it's almost like an unstoppable storm that it will fall in our lap. And so the only thing we talk about as far as I guess the NIL is just doing everything we can that our kids are proud to be a Newton-Conover football player.
Yeah.
And so the imaging and the, I guess the branding of our program has to be something that we embrace. The branding of our new school.
Brand.
Yeah, it is a great brand, and it's
Helmets look real good.
the logo, the uniforms, the videography. You know, that's part of something that I'm old school. I'm getting up in age. I'm old school, but I also know that
Well, your dad did it too.
it's times are changing, and a valuable lesson that I've learned from coaches way smarter than me, that if you're not learning, you're not growing, you're falling steps and steps behind. And so we are up to date in regards to how it's going to progress, but it hadn't fallen financially in our lap yet.
Well, one thing
We'll be prepared if it does.
I hope that I hope the money falls in your lap first.
Exactly.
And you won't have a problem. But one thing, as a marketing, filmmaker, photographer guy, I was like, wow, this soccer team's got good media.
Oh yeah, they do.
And I was like, we better step this up, because I don't think, did you have any media for football last year that was like?
When I first got here, no.
Yeah, and
we just had, we had a student that came, my man Juice. That's what we nicknamed him, because I said, man, I need you to bring the juice.
Yeah.
And so we got here, a few months before the season started, so I was just trying to
Get anything and
everything done. And I was like, all right, Juice, I need you to bring the juice and hype us up as much as you can, brand us as much as you can. And then Juice graduated, so we're like, all right, next step forward.
Yeah, and then I was just paying attention online to other things going on. And I came up to visit one day, and there were 3 separate sets of videographers in the building for different reasons.
Yeah.
I think the school had a couple guys hired.
Yeah.
Here I am with my vest. I'm here with the football team.
Yeah.
Our soccer guy, I can't remember his name. But he's here. He's cool too.
Yeah.
He was here, and then there was another group over here doing something with the cheerleaders or somebody.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, Newton-Conover's got it going on. And honestly, like, that has to happen now.
100%.
Like, every school should have that much motivation around their media departments.
Yep.
And, I mean, honestly, there should be, like, an AV club that takes part in that within the school, too.
Correct. And we just said it earlier, it's your brand.
Yeah.
And you got to embrace your brand. If you don't embrace your brand, you're kind of sending a message that you're not proud of it.
Yeah.
And we are super proud to wear this logo. We are super proud of where we come from. And that's something that, that's the biggest thing I've seen in this year's team. They're proud to be from Newton-Conover.
I know.
They're proud of it.
The alumni are proud.
Yeah,
Like, wow.
and it's coming back, and it could be because of the wins, it could be because of the branding, it could be
It's everything.
culture.
It's everything.
Yep.
I think seeing the 1970s Red Devils coming back, and then also like when you get into the 2000 team, seeing the 2008 team on the field, everybody's grown and they got kids, and they're all back and they're like crying.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, this is really nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my dad's ashes are on the 25.
That's
I mean,
cool.
it's great to see all these people coming back and being a part of the games. And I think that the players, they felt a pressure to win, knowing that there were so many people coming back from the past.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was a good pressure, not like a.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Okay. Now again, a little redundant, but I want to ask you, what have you personally learned from this experience turning the program around? What insights might you share with other coaches in a similar position?
Personally, Josh, I've learned that, and I knew this going along, I keep stealing lines from, or just tidbits from people I look up to.
Just quote Ricky Bobby.
Yeah. Don Patrick told me this: you will never be ready to be a head football coach in regards to tomorrow is going to be a new challenge than you had today. Every season, every practice, every week, there is going to be something that happens. Either you were not prepared for, or you're going to find to be challenging, or something that challenges you that you have not faced before. And this year, and as I get older, I've realized not to shy away from those moments, but to embrace them, because it ultimately is going to not just make you a better coach, but it's going to make your kids a better team. It's going to make your coaching staff a better coaching staff. So what challenge? I face challenges today, and I'm sure I'm going to face challenges tomorrow, but instead of younger me would either pitch a fit or put it off. But the older I get, I realize that this challenge is preparing me for something else, to embrace that. So I think that insight from Coach Patrick, that he said, you're not going to be ready for everything. Tomorrow you won't be ready for what's going to come. And so I think that is what I'm continuing to kind of grow with.
Well, and then also I want to ask, do you think the game moves faster now than it did under Patrick's time, in his era? Because they were afraid to throw the ball back.
I think everything moves faster now, and that's no shot at.
Kids grow up faster too.
Yeah, kids grow faster, just because the accessibility of so much. Back when Coach Patrick coached, I remember walking next to Coach Patrick, kind of tugging at his shorts when I was 4 or 5 years old, and the only thing you had on the practice field were these horrible makeshift dummies that they would hold, and a couple footballs and water coming out of a pump spigot.
Yeah.
And now you come out here to one of our practices, we film them. There's technology all over the place. There's drones flying over our practices. And yes, to answer your question, everything is moving a lot faster. And that's just the time time is.
I interviewed Don over there on the road, probably not the best place to interview anybody. And somebody in the area had a $6,400 drone in the air, and they spotted me interviewing him, and they came over like a UFO and hovered right over our head.
Yep.
I had to turn around and shoo him away like a fly.
Yeah.
And, it's like, what a world we're in. Where drones are. It's like they almost have their own charted flight paths now, and you see them in these weird traffic patterns. Sometimes it's all planes.
Yeah.
But it's just nuts for me to see that. I just wonder about the speed of the game, because one thing I asked Camden coming from Atlanta, and this is a reverse of my point, but I was like, what's the difference between the football you played in Atlanta versus here? And he's like, well, it's a lot slower here than it is in Atlanta. I think just for the fact that
you probably asked that question at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And it picked up pretty quick for him at the end of the season.
It did, and he was playing tougher teams, and I think the Hickory game definitely might have given him some of that too. But It's pretty crazy to see that though, because he's coming from Atlanta. And, I mean, I think he was at an 8A school.
Yeah.
And then coming here, I mean, traditionally we were 2A, and now we're 4A.
Yeah.
And so it's a completely different scene. But I think giving him that time helped him grow as a quarterback. Man, I tell you, from week 4 to week 10, I think he progressed probably 30%. If his video game stats could show.
Yeah.
Like his football knowledge and the way he was able to manage the team as a quarterback really increased from, the first game I filmed for the season, which was Hickory, versus what we saw out of him in week 10. Completely different look.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Looking ahead, with the foundation you've built, what are your hopes and goals for the team next year, and how do you plan to keep this momentum going?
Josh, I think great teams, great programs when the season ended for us. You like to say you put it down for a little bit. We put it down a little bit, but not. Great programs, pretty much, get going as soon as.
At least in the weight room.
Yes. And what we did, what we've already done is we've concluded like player interviews. I sat down, haven't finished because I got 80 some kids to interview, but sat down with the majority of our juniors and our sophomores and trickled in a couple freshmen and just had one-on-one moments with them about what's the best thing about being a Newton-Conover football player. What can I do better as a head football coach of this program? And
you ask the players what you can do better.
That's the very first question I ask every player.
What do they say? What's the most common thing that they might say?
I think the most common.
Stop yelling so much.
I think definitely one of the responses was, "Coach, don't get so mad at the referee's wheel. Don't let him break you." And they use one of my line on myself. So you're like, you use these player interviews, Josh, and it's amazing when you get a player one-on-one, how transparent they are with you in regards to everything. And so that's something I've done since I was a head football coach, and I take everything that these players say, and you realize that one that you've mentioned earlier, they don't miss anything. They don't miss anything, and not just that, they know if you don't know. Meaning, if they know if you don't care, they know if you were not prepared for practice, they know anything and everything. And so I take the advice of our players because it is a player-driven program. I'm a player's coach. So you take their advice and you meet with the coaching staff at the end of all these player interviews and say, this is what our kids finding after talking to our kids, this is what I found that we need to, as a coaching staff, what are we doing, and is this the best way to reach our kids? And so our numbers, even though there have been, in our season where you're not looking to gain tremendous strength, we've done a really good job of not just maintaining but growing in the weight room. And then so Christmas break will start next week, and then they'll be off for about 3 weeks, Josh. And the end of those player interviews, they know when they get back that it's on.
Yeah, you're going to start up.
Yeah.
What's the weight room routine look like?
We go 5 days a week in the off season. So we'll change it up just so they don't get complacent as far as just the routines go. And the days of the week, they always, once first period walks in there and first period leaves, they'll tell second period what we're doing, because second period wants to know what we're doing. We focus on just, our core lives.
You do any hamstring circuits?
Oh, yeah. We try to hit it all. And we've got some good stuff from people way smarter than me in the weight room. I'll steal something if it's tested and proven. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel, because obviously certain programs, high school, college, they know what they're doing because they're getting results out of it. And so we've kind of implemented it, tweaked it, and so far so good as far as like seeing our kids, kind of our linemen have certain goals that they want to achieve at the end of an 18-week period. Our skill guys have certain goals that they want to achieve at the end of an 18-week period. So it's kind of tiered. It's kind of tiered and modified to meet their body and hopefully make them maximize their full potential when it's time to go.
Are you able to calculate how much faster you can make an athlete in the off season from one season to the next?
Yeah, we do those programs to where we bring in not a nutritionist, but we bring in a guy. We pay a guy to come in and do the whole 9 yards, and then our other coaches, they got some fancy tools and equipment that we put to our guys, and so we can track everything. And that talks about the money. You know, I'd love to have them catapult vests to see exactly how fast they move and how much effort they give in a practice, but it's common.
You just brought me to a memory. Were you out there with us that one day when my dad, and I believe your dad, had me in a parachute?
Oh, yeah.
And you were sitting there watching. You were doing it too, but we were here.
I couldn't get the damn thing off the ground, I don't think.
Yeah, you were. I mean, you were 4 years younger than I was, and I think I was like maybe just getting to high school.
Yeah.
And my dad had a hard time with me because I was so slow. I mean, I ran I had lineman feet, you know. Yeah. And I was too small to be a lineman.
Yeah, and that goes back to what you said earlier, Josh. Is the game moving faster? Yes, but those wins. It ain't the most important thing in regards to, you got culture, you got admin, you got leadership, you got assistant coaches. So you start at the top with leadership, you keep trickling down before the X's and O's and before the practice even starts. Our practice starts when they in that weight room. We'll have practice number 1 when we get in that weight room. So week 1, when we go into it, our workout for week 1 will be focused on Alexander Central. So they'll have the Alexander Central workout, and then it'll be Polk County workout, and then it'll be Hickory, and then so those workouts are our games.
I want to ask you about how you choose the first games of the year. Now, Alexander Central, that's always a game that I think Newton plays against them. Yeah. But Polk County is on out there.
Yeah, and Coach, it's funny you asked that question. Sorry. Finding non-conference games nowadays, I can best equate it to the Wild Wild West. Yeah. You have our conference, which is a 9-team league, so you're looking for 2 non-conference games. The Western Foothills Conference, I believe it is, maybe? No. Watauga's league, Alexander's league, whatever that league is called, they only have 6 teams in their conference. So they're looking for 5 non-conference games. And then you go down the road to Lincoln County, I think they have 8 conference games. So they're looking for 3 non-conference games. So the state, when they had that redraft, kind of made it difficult for teams to find non-conference opponents because certain teams only need 2, certain teams, it hasn't matched up. So, and then you're looking at proximity to your school. Then you're looking at, you don't want to play a team that you could possibly play again, maybe. All coaches have different views in regards to, I want to play 2 really tough non-conference games. Or do you want to play one that you think on paper should be tough to win and one that you should win?
Well, it felt like, and you never know what a team's going to bring.
Correct.
But it felt like in scheduling Polk County, you were giving your team a chance to kind of get their feet under them.
Well, and no, and I can understand why you assume that. The original game that we had for that week fell through. Who was the team? I'm not going to mention that.
Tell me later. I want to know.
Wild Wild West. Like I said, it was. You agree to it. You shake. You have an agreement, and then whatever happens, happens. And so the Wild Wild West is what I say. So as soon as this season ends, you better get on the phone call as soon as it happens. And I'm sure some teams have already come to an agreement and all the way through 2030 or 2030. But it's the Wild Wild West. So we ended up making a phone call. Luckily, Polk County needed an opponent, and we needed an opponent. And the one thing that we could not control, and people were like, why in the world did you only schedule 4 home games and 6 away games? Couldn't control it. You got dealt cards, and you play the cards you're dealt. This year we'll have 6 home games and only 4 away games. And
it's funny, I never filmed a game that wasn't here.
yeah, so we only had 4 home games before the playoffs. So regular season, we only had 4 playoff games. You know, in a perfect world, you get 5 and 5. But because the Wild Wild West happened, we were scrambling to find a game, and Polk County needed a game, but it had to be at home because they only had 3 home games. And so they needed a 4th. We agreed to do that, but they had to agree to come to us the following year. And in hindsight, it worked out the way it needed to work out.
On a lighter note, do you have any favorite moments or a memory from the season that really stands out?
I think my favorite moment this season was, I think we had 17 seniors, and senior night's always special to me, but just seeing those 17 seniors, not all of them were starters, not all of them were even role players, but all of them had an impact on this team. All of them had an impact on me. All of them had an impact on our coaching staff. All of them had an impact on the underclassmen. So watching those seniors represent their families on that night, and kind of just that whole senior night ceremony, Josh, for me, and it sounds weird, was kind of in slow motion, just because the announcer would announce Caleb Barker, KB, and I would just sit back and just have, flashback memories of everything KB has done.
Of him as a baby.
Yeah, or just him, it's him as just, when I first met KB, and then Gavin Cook, and then Tim Mahalik, and the Thibodeau twins, and then Camden, and then Bryson Davis, and then you go on, Caleb Porter, Preston Palomares, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And you just think about everything they sacrificed for the school and this town, and that group's kind of just hold steadfast in my memory for a long time.
Well, for me, being that we have so much history here together as sons of football coaches who coached here, when I think about those players coming through, I can't help but think about like Bradley Sains and Jason Loftons and all these kids who came, who were my sister's age, who I looked up to, that were huge parts of the football team and the wrestling team. And you're like, man, these kids are a part of this club now. And it's too soon for them to truly realize what it means to be in this alumni club at Newton-Conover. But there's so much pride in the sports and the athletics at this school, and it's so deeply rooted that when we were on the field there, this is a great chance for me to bring up the Maiden games, plural, but I couldn't stop myself. Your captain at the sudden death moment, I was filming and I had to break the fourth wall, and I was like, do you realize the importance of this legacy here? This rivalry is so deeply trenched in. And he was like, I get it. He's like, I gotta play now. But I was like overwhelmed with how many times has Maiden met Newton like this. And I mean, and then we're walking over, and I was like, sudden death? You're like, yeah. We were both like so excited. And then also in the moment when you chose that side to play into, because that's where we played Thomasville, and that's where we played those other teams in like 1989, 90, 91. When we went into sudden death, we always played them into that end zone.
And that's all right. And this ain't
is
fake.
Is that why you chose that?
Josh, and that's crazy that you said that. It's crazy you said that. And if you go back and watch your footage, I chose that end zone first.
Yeah, you did. And then you were like, no, wait.
Yes. And I changed it because, and this is wild that you mentioned that, I remember just flashback games. The only game I could remember us winning big game like that was the 2009 Western Regional Championship against Salisbury. It was in that end zone. But all the big games that I can remember that were really, really monumental victories in the past, like going back all the way to like 1995 when I was a kid here, monumental touchdowns, monumental wins, monumental moments happened in that end zone, and something just said,
Yeah.
stop. I don't want I want that end zone.
Yeah.
And it was just wild but if you go back and watch footage, I changed. And it's just something said.
But when you did that, I'm just thinking psychology. It really tripped up Will Byrne because he had it in his mind they're playing in that zone. It's nothing to him. He doesn't know about what we're thinking about with all the old games. But you're like, no, that is. He's like, wait, I still get the ball, right? Or whatever he was saying.
Yeah.
And they had to reconfirm, yes, sir, you get the.
Yeah.
But it was so crazy to see how that all went down. And Newton was not supposed to win Week 10. Like everybody was like, oh, there's no way Newton can't beat Maiden. Maiden's they got Wingate and they're blah blah blah. And then we get to this 13-13 tie. And then we go into sudden death, and it was like almost the nails were in the coffin for Maiden. At the moment we won the regulation and just tied them, it was like they were like the wind was taken out of their sails because they thought they got a few bad calls and this and that, but they were licking their wounds a bit too. And the next thing you know, we come in and that crazy back and forth. I mean, with that interception from number 7, we were like, oh my God, and then they did score. Wingate scored, but they kept getting that flag thrown. And y'all mentioned in round 3, you could call that flag all game on them because they were holding outside. They weren't keeping their hands inside. And it was every play. And so when you get into sudden death, those refs are going to be throwing that no matter what. And, it got called back, and then that gave us just enough air to get number 0 in the end zone. And it's like everybody knew we were going to win at that point. The moment we got the ball back, the whole stadium was like, we got it. And Maiden had almost just given up at that point. Because, a flag like that at the end of the game, and they didn't have time to set their feet, and we were in the end zone. What was your take as a head coach there in that moment of victory?
It was a great win. It was a big moment. I had Lions say it wasn't a monumental or just a big win for this town. They waited, I don't know if it's 11, 14 years, whatever the number was, for that to happen. So it's been
a long time.
A long time that Newton-Conover waited for a win over our rival. That was something else that when we got here, we weren't going to hide from that rivalry. We were going to embrace it. And so we were fortunate enough that night to come out on top. And so hopefully, moving forward, it can be a rivalry again. And they embrace it, we embrace it, and we'll see each other again in late October.
You will, and just the way, you had already reached that attrition point with Ezzard out when you got to sudden death, right? And your second string quarterback came in, stepped up. He made a few mistakes in sudden death. We talked about the interception, but he was able to skillfully hand the ball off to Jeremiah and get him in the end zone to win that game. What were you saying to him as the playoffs went through, because you had to basically take him from a second string quarterback and turn him into your starter overnight. And luckily you had a bye week. And then you got some players back that were banged up in against Freddie Ford. But what was that like for you coaching that second string? Because he's going to be your starter next year.
He's actually a senior.
Oh, he was a senior?
He's actually a senior. Okay, and the ironic part right there, Josh, with you saying that, what I say to him, senior night, we made him a captain.
That's right.
And we made him a captain on senior night. And my message to him that night before he took the field, and you can ask Ed Uribe is his name, and I told Ed, I was like, Ed, you can't always control the cards that you're dealt in life. You can choose how you play them. And meaning for him, at the beginning of the season, he thought, I have a chance to be the starting quarterback going into my senior year. Mm-hmm. And then we made some moves with Camden, and he didn't start. The only thing he did up to that point, Josh, he finished a couple games in the fourth quarter in mop-up duty. But Ed showed up to practice every day, never had an attitude, always finished drills, did the very best, was his best version of Ed all season long. And then the irony part of it, when I told him that at senior night, congratulating him on being selected captain for senior night, my message to him was, you chose how to play your cards. And then when Cam got hurt in the second quarter, and he wasn't able to finish that game, I looked at him and said, you about to play a different hand tonight. Yes, now you got some cards to play. And he went in there and managed the game, put together a couple of drives for us to be, put us in that position to win in overtime. So it's just funny how the choice of the end zone and the choice of me saying those words to him, and then,
he ends up being the one who finishes.
Wild times.
I just had amnesia. I was going to say something. Oh, yeah. So I did think he was a junior. I thought for sure. So in that case, what's your quarterback situation looking like?
Oh, every year we have a competition.
You got a really tall JV player.
We have a talented JV quarterback coming up, and right now, if we had to play tomorrow, then it would be him. We have to create depth because the only quarterback left in our program, it will be a rising 8th grader.
Well, what's interesting about your JV quarterback, he looks a lot like a pocket passer. He's got height.
Yeah.
He's got a lot. I don't know what his arm looks like, but I mean, just basing off his height, he's got Merino look to him.
Yeah, he's a very talented young man. He works really, really hard. He's got a high football IQ, and
he'll be a junior next year.
He'll be a junior next year.
Okay.
So we will see if he continues to win the job. We kind of approach it. Every single position is earned from January 4th when we get back till August 1st. So it's his job to lose. But we have to create competition at every position. This competition is the best coach we can have.
That's right.
And so we've got to find a backup, a third string, because we don't want to get ourselves in a position. We did a good job of kind of creating depth at that position, but we don't want to get caught again.
Well, and your dad often talked about converting running backs into quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And I remember after the Ashbrook game against North Lincoln in 2024, he was talking on the radio about how he's like, that quarterback at Ashbrook is ideal for the triple option. That's the type of guy that we look for. Do you ever see, if you see the potential and you see the IQ and intelligence necessary in a running back, along with, I guess, the sizing chart you need to be a running back, or to be a quarterback, do you ever see yourself going, like you did with Cam last year, you go, hey, maybe we should convert him into a quarterback. Maybe we should look into making this to compete with the guy who fits all the descriptions of a tall throwing pocket passer.
Correct.
Do you try to put yourself so that you give yourself a bit more edge at that position and depth?
Of course. And like you said, Josh, there's no way we can go into a season with one quarterback.
Yeah.
And so right now, if I had to say, what are our quarterbacks' skill set, the one we have, what's his skill set? And then, all right, how can we put together a backup, a third string with maybe a little bit of a different skill set? And then say, all right, compete for this job. I have no doubt that our rising JV quarterback, he is going to come in and bust his tail every single day. That's because that's the way he's raised. That's the way he don't know any different. And so our job is to find a backup or a third string guy that's going to compete just as hard in the weight room, just as hard on this field in the off season, and see what happens.
All right, we're at the end. I want to thank you for your time.
Oh yeah, Josh, I appreciate everything you've done.
Thank you, man. But I want you to have the chance now to speak directly into a camera, choose which one you wish, and talk directly to the players coming up from the middle school and recruit them, get them to come play ball.
I think what we've done here directly in the short amount of time kind of speaks for itself. And not just that, it's Newton and Conover. and the culture, the tradition, the pride, and the message that we sent our players Monday. Josh, at our award ceremony was kind of our closing remarks, and I'll close this interview with these closing remarks. We had a great season. We did have a great season. We made it to the Elite Eight in the playoffs. We were the #1 4A high school coming out of the regular season in a very, very tough conference. We had multiple all-conference football players, multiple all-region football players, multiple Golden Helmet Award winners. Great season, 9 wins. Going from what we were to where we are, 9 wins. We gave this town, Newton-Conover, a lot to be proud of, and it was a great season. But I think it ended perfectly.
Yeah.
It ended perfectly. You beat our rival. You beat our rival in round 3. And this is exactly what I told our parents, and exactly what I told our players, and this is exactly what I'm telling the rising 9th graders. Our season ended perfectly. Getting beat by our rival. If we beat them, Josh, if we win round 3 and beat our rival, then anything at that point, besides the state championship, we'd have been upset and disappointed. Say we beat our rival in round 3, we play High Brighton, we get beat by High Brighton, and we're upset and we're disappointed. We beat High Brighton, we play Brevard, and we get beat by Brevard. We're upset and we're disappointed. We know that. But because it ended the way it ended, we have motivation.
To do more next year.
We have motivation.
All right, we got past them in week 10, but round 3, they got us back. Now we know what we need to do next year to get them back.
We have the motivation we need. And so not just, it ended the way it should have, and you have a taste in your mouth that you need to have going into an off season. All teams can't win a state championship.
It's very difficult to win a state championship.
You have to be lucky, really good, and it has to just be, you have to be healthy. A lot of things have to go in your way. And then if you don't win, you have to find, all right, what are you motivated by? We got ours. So January 4th, when the weight room opens, we'll have the motivation we need. Spring ball, we'll have the motivation we need. Summer workouts, we'll have the motivation we need. And then come either July 30th or August 1st of next year, we'll have all the motivation we need to continue to give this town what it deserves.
Do you have anything to say to the parents and fans, or even just the parents?
Parents, I told them on Monday night that they spend a lot of time and effort getting their kids back and forth to practice from spring, summer to November 20th. I think what I'm most thankful for, besides the time and effort, is the mutual respect that they have given our coaching staff and themselves. It's been a very transparent relationship I believe in communication, I believe in transparency, I believe in order to have respect, you have to be communicative. And there's a lot of coaches around here that are, having headaches right now with parents, and I'm not saying ours are perfect, but I think it's a good relationship, not because their son, Jimmy or Joe, is playing or not playing, but I think there's just a mutual respect that they know that our coaching staff is going to treat their kid with respect, and we care about them as people more than players. And I think if you open up that line of communication, open up that line of transparency, open up that line of trust and respect for their kid, ultimately that's all a parent wants, is for you to make sure you're treating their kid like they want to be treated. And so we do that here. And so I'm grateful for a stress-free season, I guess. That's all a coach can ask for.
The wind's certainly at your back, Coach.
Yeah.
At least for now.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
For now.
No coach keeps it there.
You're dang right about that.
Can you give me a final word on the 4A, 5A conference and what it means to play in this conference? And then just finish up with, you're happy to be a part of it.
Yep. I get asked every week when we do this interview before we play a game. I'm blessed. I am humbled just to be able to compete with these great coaches in this league. I'm blessed and humbled just to be able to lead our young men that represent our town every week in this conference. I'm a man that's living his dream, and it's just kind of wild to even think that, for just 2 years, the school board, the principal, gave me that opportunity to say, "Here's your dream. Do you want to live it?" And I'm living it. So, one day it could come to an end, but right now I'm going to hold on tight and enjoy the ride and make sure that they get my very best, and these coaches get my very best. These players get my very best, and then hopefully they give this town in return.
Well, I hope you can hold on long enough to see Bo Gibbs and them come through.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
I think they just won a state championship.
It's something like that. So hopefully we can just keep on that pathway.
I think in 6, 7, 8 years, y'all are going to have a dynasty on your hands.
We'll see. But I'm grateful for you, Josh. You've poured a lot of energy into this program this past season, and it's good to have somebody that understands not just holding the camera, but understands the importance of this program and what it means to so many people. You're not just a walking body that doesn't have Red Devil blood in you, and it kind of means a little bit more when you got a Red Devil in behind the camera that's shooting our kids.
Well, your dad liked me on the field because I would watch the guards pull.
Okay. You got to be careful with that. We were sitting there. One of our coaches says, "You got to tell Josh to turn the mic down. Like, we can hear all our plays." I was like, "Man, it's fine."
Where can they hear the plays?
It was like whenever our quarterbacks or whatever, they could hear the audio, and I was like, "Man, they still got to stop the plays." So you keep doing what you're doing. I'm grateful to have you a part of our family, and see what kind of crazy footage you do for us.
That'd be fun. I can't wait to finish up. So,
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, man.
Yeah, brother. Appreciate you.
All right. I'm Josh Lloyd. You're on the Ridge. Thanks for watching.